50 years, 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Wow, 50 years. Anything to say? Well, congratulations, man. Thank you.
I work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
And you do that because you have to, or?
Yeah, I don't have enough income.
Veteran Ed Bambus is still working at a Meijer supermarket in Detroit at 88 years old.
There is a group here in America that we see every single day, and somehow we don't really see them, if you get what I mean. They're the old cashier who moves a little bit slower. There's that person at Walmart that checks your receipt before you leave. There's that man on the stocking shelves at 6 a.m. with hands that look like they've lived over 3 lifetimes. And there's that woman, cleaning office buildings long after everyone else has gone home. These are elderly working class Americans, okay? And these people should not only not be working, but they should be taken care of for the rest of their lives, whether it be by their family members or by the government, okay? Frankly, I think it should be both, but that's a whole veil for another time. That's just my opinion. These are people who were supposed to be quote unquote done by now, right? These are people who were told to work hard and one day we will be able to enjoy retirement and you'll be able to rest, right? But for millions of seniors in this country, that promise has never arrived for them. We grew up with this idea that retirement is the finish line, okay? That after decades of labor that you finally get to breathe and live your life out, right? But the reality is much worse. It's way more harsh. Retirement isn't even a guarantee anymore. It is a luxury to be able to retire. And luxuries are distributed very unevenly in America, if you can't tell by the wealth gap that we have. A lot of elderly workers don't even have 401ks. They didn't have stock options or employer pensions. They had hourly wages, physically demanding jobs, and just enough money to get by. And when you spend your entire life just trying to survive, there isn't much left over to prepare for the future or for even your passions. Now let's imagine a 70-year-old that is still worrying about rent, all right? Imagine being 70 years old, still worried about rent. That personally isn't a reality I don't want to live in. And imagine still choosing between medication and groceries. Still standing on your feet for 8 hours a day because Social Security alone isn't enough to live on. And we love to talk about hard work here in America. We praise grit, we praise hustle, but we rarely ask what happens to people after they've given us their bodies, their time, and their youth. Construction workers with ruined knees, that's what you get. You get factory workers with damaged lungs, care workers with chronic pain. And these jobs don't just pay poorly, right? They will extract from the human body. We act surprised that people can't magically retire with dignity. There is something deeply unsettling about a society where someone can work 40 to 50 years and still not have the right to rest. And here's the uncomfortable truth about all this. Many of us are closer to becoming them than we think, okay? For me, I'm 24 years old, but I could blink one day and be 50 and still be working 9 to 5 if I don't apply myself accordingly. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you don't have savings, if one medical emergency could wipe you out, then the elderly working class isn't some distant group. This is a preview. This is not about blaming individuals for not planning better for the future. This is about recognizing that planning is a privilege when you are barely surviving. Most people don't even have the capability or finances to be able to invest in themselves, let alone in a 401k or a savings account. So next time you see an older person working a job that looks exhausting, don't assume that they are just quote unquote bored. Don't assume that they even chose this either, because maybe you're looking at someone who already gave everything that they had and the system still asked them for more. And if we're serious about calling ourselves a wealthy, advanced society, then the question isn't how much profit we can squeeze out of people. It's whether the people who built this country get the rest of it. Because a society is ultimately judged not by how it treats the young and productive, but by how it treats those who already done the work.
On TikTok, she goes into Walmarts and she meets these older folks that are still working.
Yeah.
And he asked her, he said, why are you still working? She's because I have to. So she does a GoFundMe. The one lady, she raised $100,000 for this woman, and now she's got another one going, and she just raised over $50,000 in 4 days for another 82-year-old.
Oh, be damned.
Yeah. Now imagine that someone raised that kind of money for you.
The people working these entry-level jobs are starting to get suspiciously older and older to me. I remember when I was young, you'd never see old people working at like a sales associate or like Walmart or like anything like that without them having a chip on their shoulder. Like, you could tell they were there just to participate in society and like just because they have to. But these days I'm seeing a lot of older people and you can tell they're there trying to survive. And it's really starting to hit me that the world I grew up in as living in America, it's not what it used to be, and it's changing quick. These old people are out here trying to stay alive. That's really scary.
Can't you get it through your thick skull that I'm broke? Dead, flat, stony broke?
My name is Mary, and I'm 93 years old, and I've been working here at McDonald's 18 years, and I still have to stay busy. I come in at 8 o'clock and work till 2. That's usually my shift. So I start with whatever they tell me. I usually help them with the fries, hash browns. And then I go to the dining room and make sure it's clean and all, and wipe my tables and do the trays and fill up their sauces. Yeah, they say, well, why are you still working? A lot of my customers and all. And I just like to stay busy.
My name is Tina Chavez. I am from the Tesson Ferry McDonald's. I've been working here for about 10 years now. The hospitality ambassador here is Miss Mary, and she just makes sure everyone comes in, and has a smile on their face whenever they leave. She's very feisty, but in a good way. And even our younger crew know that if Miss Mary says something, then she means business. I mean, obviously everyone's younger than her, but everyone is just, that's my grandma. I'm going to listen to her.
I've worked around people for a lot of years, and that was my career, just working with people. I think it's good for everybody to do something, and everybody's got their own things they like to do. I've had my friends to say, how can you work around people? A lot of people can't do it. They're not a people person. But they tell me, I guess I'm a people person, that's why I like it.
I don't know if it's me or have y'all noticed a lot more senior citizens working regular jobs? And don't get me wrong, I think that's dope. Senior citizens can still work. They can probably want something to do. But I was in Target and there was 2 people that were visibly over the age of 65 working the register. One of them was you could tell he's kind of new. He was struggling with the computer and things like that. And that's fine. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with older people working, but I feel like they're working because they need the money. And it's leading me to think I think the economy really bad. Because that's a job for a college student or a young person in their 20s that don't got nothing to do during the daytime.
Getting ready for a job interview. I'm 50. This is embarrassing. This is my third job interview this month. If I get the job, I'll be happy. If I don't get the job, I'll be equally as happy. If I get the job, I'll be sad. If I don't get the job, I'll be equally as sad. Getting a job at 50 is ghetto.
Okay, not to exaggerate, but I feel like I'm already tired tomorrow.
There's something that needs to be talked about, and it's the fact that our elderly people here in America can't even retire. Or when they do retire, they have to work. And then they're working with busted people with badass attitudes. Like, that's not okay. In America, I feel as though it's like the country that does not respect elderly people whatsoever. Like, at all. Like, at all. Doesn't respect them. They are working when they shouldn't be working. And it's honestly sad. And it's also sad too, is because a lot of our elderly folk voted for who we have in office.
What's it like for older Americans who are still working at 80 years old? Since April, I've spoken to almost 200 Americans working past 80 for a series we called 80 over 80. In interviews, these workers shared their many motivations for continuing to work, such as financial necessity and rediscovering their purpose. Many of the workers I interviewed didn't plan to work into their 80s, let alone still be alive. The series also reported for the first time that thousands of people in their 80s and 90s still work in risky professions such as construction and truck driving, and a few dozen have lost their lives at work in recent years. The series uncovered flaws in the social safety net for those healthy enough to continue working into their 80s but not wealthy enough to retire. Researchers told me that workplaces have much more to do to support their aging workers, such as providing safer working conditions, establishing more robust retirement planning networks, and providing necessary health benefits for workers of all ages. Read more of our coverage from our 80 over 80 series at businessinsider.com.
Gen Z thinks that boomers and older Gen X need to move out. They need to retire because they're taking all the good jobs. And while I don't think it's on anybody to give their job away, Gen Z kind of has a point here. See, people are working longer, and we know that. I mean, 20-something% of retirement age people are still working full-time. That's an actual statistic. And what that does is it's creating a bottleneck at the top of organizations because most of these older corporate workers are in senior to executive level leadership roles. And if they're still hanging on because they don't want to retire, or maybe financially they can't retire, then those jobs don't open up, which means your millennials don't move up into the senior and executive positions, and that doesn't create open positions for entry-level people to move up. Entry-level people stay where they're at, and ultimately, the job market, the corporate hierarchy is frozen because the people at the top aren't leaving. And that's a rough thing to get your head around. And like I said, I'm not saying people need to abandon their jobs and give them away. I'm just saying when Gen X or when Gen Z says there are no jobs because the older workers won't step aside, they're not completely wrong.
Just got off an interview with a tour operator, a travel operator, based here in Toronto. The interview went pretty good, I think. I have an interesting story, though. I had those two interviews last week, and the one that ignored me on Zoom. And then I had another one after who was for a Pilates studio here in Toronto. You know, just at the front desk, taking the ladies in, selling memberships, that sort of stuff. So it was part-time as well, which, okay, that's fine. Still, I'll take anything. And I went through two interviews with them, really good. They sent me an email last night saying, we'd like you to come into the studio tomorrow, and do sort of more of an in-person, because it was on Zoom, and it's at 3:30. So I had this appointment with the tour operator at 3 today. So I politely sent back right away sorry, I can't make the 3 o'clock one. Can we do something on Wednesday, Thursday this week? Whatever's available. I just can't make that particular time. She sent back to me, we only do in-person interviews on Tuesday, and we don't come into the office on Wednesday. And not only that, but I will not be into the office until after New Year's. And that was it. That was the email. And I thought, okay, is she just saying I don't have the job? Like, am I just don't have the job now? So I sent her an email and said, oh, golly, sorry. I didn't say golly, but sorry. How about if I come in, but since it's just Tuesdays, apparently you're in, how about I come in the morning on Tuesday or later on in the afternoon? Nothing. She didn't get back to me. This was yesterday, so we're going into today now. I don't know if I have an appointment. So I actually emailed her again because I thought maybe you missed it, right? Sorry, just checking in. Do you want me to come in earlier or later? Basically leaving me hanging here. She did not get back to me. So I actually called the studio and I left a message saying, if you want me to come in today, I'm free. Like, what's going on here? And I did not hear back at all. So, wow. What she was saying in a nutshell really was, you're saying you can't make an appointment that I'm giving you the night before, so I'm giving you less than 24 hours to come to this appointment. And when I tell her I can't make it, but give her alternative times, she's basically telling me I don't have the job. Like, wow. Nothing against entry-level positions. I'm going, obviously, you guys, I don't have any money. Like, I have been off work for 17 months now. I'm on like Ontario Works, which is no money, let me tell you. And I'm like, I'll take it, right? Like, and I'll happily take it. And that's the other thing too. I was like, I'm excited. I would love to actually work in a Pilates studio. I would love to welcome the ladies in and chit chat with them. And I'm all about wellness. And like, I would totally be able to do that job and be happy at it. It was part-time. I could do stuff on the side. But because I didn't make one time slot, I don't have that job.
America is a work until you die country. I just had a conversation with an individual because I'm looking for jobs, and this individual had my resume, and they were asking me, what is this gap here from this month to this month? That's when I was traveling, right? That's when I was actually experiencing life. So I took about 6 months and I traveled the year of 2025, and I told them this, right? I elaborated, and they go, interesting. And then when they were kind of reading back to me what I had said, they described it as a hiatus. I didn't really know. I've heard the word. I didn't really know the exact definition. I Google it. So it's a break or a pause in something, right? That's the loose definition. Can you explain to me how stepping away from the matrix, from the system, from this god-awful corporate nonsense country that we live in, to actually experience real life for just like 6 months out of my 27 years, they describe it as a hiatus, a break or pause in what? In what? Being an employee, being a worker ant? Like, that's how they view it. They view like doing real life things as hiatuses, as a break or a pause from the real timeline. These individuals are twisted. It's not their fault per se, but they're grown adults that are just so warped because of the system that they grew up in and could never figure it out, that this is wrong, this is unhuman, this is bizarre. Like, that's bizarre. You're bizarre. I'm not bizarre. I'm trying to be healthier. You're bizarre.
You know, when I see older people working, I can't help but wonder, are they working because they want to or working because they have to? And it bothers me a lot because I know for a fact that a lot of older people are working because they have to. And what I can't seem to understand and wrap my mind around is why there are so many people that'll say, well, at least they're busy, at least they have something to do. But y'all, there is so much more to life than just working. And yes, some people may want to work, but it's not all of them. And I just sometimes can't help but wonder, when did we decide that this was just how things are?